Recording in progress.
All right, calling to order Historic Landmarks Commission, January 17th, 2024. Let's start with the roll call.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll start with roll call. Chair Grumbine.
Present.
Vice Chair House.
I'm here.
Commissioner Butler.
Here.
Commissioner Dordan.
Here.
Commissioner Jury.
Here.
Commissioner Ensberg.
Here.
Commissioner Lindvik.
Here.
Commissioner McClure.
Here.
And Commissioner Uli is absent. We have a quorum. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, let's go on to general business, public comment. Any member of the public may address the commission for up to 2 minutes on any subject within our jurisdiction that is not on this agenda. So,
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I do have one speaker slip for Dennis Allen. If you would like to make your way up to the podium, you'll have 2 minutes to speak.
All right, welcome. Yeah, good afternoon.
Oh.
And just as a note, I know this is a lot to summarize in 2 minutes, but but if you can give us a little overview, and we can give a little more time than 2 minutes because it is a larger subject than you had asked.
Well, one of our requests, and I think Cass has already fed this, is to get on your agenda for maybe the next meeting or the week after that. But we all know this past Monday was Martin Luther King's birthday. And every year we celebrate his life and his most famous speech, I Have a Dream. And the Community Environmental Council and many of us elders in the community that have had long years of experience in working with the Community Environmental Council also have a dream. Our dream is about the downtown corridor of our town. And I think many of you also share dreams. But what we're wanting to do is focus on providing the well-being for the citizens and the environment in our community. Of course, this means addressing climate change and threats to biodiversity, which are growing and increasing. It also means, which I know is dear to your heart, focusing on maintaining, even enhancing the beauty of our community and focusing on the history that we all cherish so much. As we look to the future and ways to plan for what's going to happen in our downtown core, we need to think about improving the air quality on our streets and in our buildings, of course, as we address ever greater threats from wildfires, more frequent, more dangerous wildfires. We need to focus on how to maintain or at least reduce the temperatures in our downtown core because of the growing frequency of record heat waves. We also need to focus on how to reduce our dependence on fossil fuel in our transportation system and in our structures. And we need to focus on how to capture and store stormwater downpours and how to reuse this water in ways that can mitigate our droughts. These are some of the things we've tried to focus on in our ecological principles, we're calling it, but it's more than just ecological principles. And one of the things that we think would be an addition to this is to add more trees and vegetation to our downtown core. And what this does is it can cool our streets, it can improve our air quality, it can increase biodiversity downtown, and it can add to the physical and psychological well-being of all of us that live in this town. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through the thing because I hope we'll have a chance to, what we really would like is to have an extended conversation with you, not only about our principles, but about your ideas and principles that you'd like to see, and see where we can collaborate together and move this forward in the decisions that are coming up in the following months for our downtown core. So we hope that'll happen, and thank you for your consideration.
Thank you
very much, Mr. Allen. Okay.
All right, at this time, we don't have any virtual participants, but we did receive one letter from Gabrielle Moeller, and that was distributed to the commission prior to the meeting. With that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Grumbine.
All right, thank you. All right, so we'll close public comment and on to the approval of the consent calendar for January 17th, 2024.
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second under discussion and edits. Or first to staff and then to, yeah.
Chair, no comments from staff regarding the meeting minutes.
All right.
Would you like us to go through
Quick
them?
summary?
Yeah,
Yeah, that'd be
sorry.
And Polly, if I may, quick
Yes.
introduction. We have Holly Garson here. She's filling in for Miss Rydell today, who's out sick.
thought
So,
Miss Rydell looked a
yes,
little different.
a little
Yeah.
different. So, yes, so thank you to Holly for managing today's meeting.
Okay, so we have the HLC consent meeting minutes from January 17th, 2024. Item A, 615 East Valerio Street. Received final approval with the comment that the project plans demonstrate substantial conformance to the plans that received project design approval on October 11th, 2023. Item B, 1303 State Street, number A. Received final approval with the comment that the project plans demonstrate substantial conformance to the plans that received project design approval on October 25th, 2023. Item C, 800 Alvarado Place. Received project design approval and final approval with the condition that the enclosure for the generator be an earth tone color to better blend with the vegetation and sandstone wall to be verified by staff, and the following required findings were made. Do I need to read them all? Okay. Item D, 276 Cannon Drive. Received project design approval and final approval with the required findings. Item E, 1911 State Street, number C. Received project design approval with the condition that the applicant shall return with a lighting cut sheets and structural details for any exterior alterations as necessary, and the following required findings were made. That concludes the meeting minutes.
All right, thank you. All right, any discussion or questions, anything? All right, let's have a roll call vote for approval of the, oh wait, yes, we have a first and second, so yes, roll call vote for approval of the consent calendar.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll take roll call vote. Commissioner Dordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Aye.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Commissioner Butler,
Yes.
Commissioner Lindvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Vice Chair House,
Yes.
Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you. All right, on to item C, announcements, requests by applicants for continuances and withdrawals, future agenda items, and appeals.
Mr. Chair, just to say again, Holly Garson, who's going to be filling in for Ms. Rydell today. And then I just want to acknowledge that for the next HLC meeting will be, we've tentatively scheduled the discussion item for the State Street Master Plan. And just to let you know that staff is working with Chair Grumbine to kind of, for you to be able to facilitate a conversation around that. So just an FYI on that. And so to kind of note that for your calendars.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner Ensberg?
Yes, Chair Grumbine. I don't know, is this the right time? I just wanted to say thank you
Yeah.
about this and for distributing it and for your response about it, and hopefully we can move it forward. I don't know if you have any more to share about it, but thank you
Yeah,
very
so
much.
Along this, is there a possibility for agendizing this for the next or the following meeting after that?
Let me work with Ms. Rydell on that and just to determine what, if that's the HLC's wish. And yes, I just want to make sure for other projects with this, I can imagine the State Street Master Plan is going to be more
it's
substantive.
more-
I want to prioritize that based on the commission's requests. And then I'll see where this
Followed
can
by
fall.
this one. Yep, okay, great, thank you, Commissioner Ensberg. Other announcements, et cetera?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Commissioner
Yes,
Drury.
I'd like to say that at the Architectural Foundation, at the moment, is a exhibit of Scott Johnson, the architect's collages. I highly recommend going by the Architectural Foundation. It's a wonderful exhibit.
All right, thank you for that. Other announcements, et cetera? All right. Let's go on to item D, subcommittee reports. So, signs, designations, State Street Advisory, Plaza de la Guerra, and objective design standards. Any subcommittee reports?
I can report something on State Street.
Okay.
So do I understand it will be on the agenda next meeting for a discussion with regard to State Street Advisory, to State Street?
So, Mr. Chair, through you to Commissioner Lindvik, so the discussion item, as Ms. Harris pointed out last week, we would schedule it. This would be essentially the opportunity for the HLC to discuss in unison and offer kind of public comments as a group to the State Street Advisory Committee. So this is, no staff presentation or anything. It's really just to kind of submit comments. So
And that's happening next meeting.
So the January 31st is the next HLC meeting, and that's when we have it
Good.
identified.
I'm very glad to hear that. It's, as you can well imagine, commission members, being the representative for HLC on the State Street Advisory Committee is presenting a unique problem for me, in that I really don't have any direction from the HLC as to how I should comment and advise what's happening on State Street. And if you think about this, we have a rep from MTD there, and I know that they're able to get feedback from their board. We have a representative from downtown Santa Barbara, from the Chamber of Commerce, and and numerous other organizations who all have the input from their board of directors or whatever. And I am able to have none of that input from the balance of the members here. And I think it's getting to the point where it is really important that next meeting, we can formulate some general comments that would give me guidance as we move ahead. Even Dennis Jordan is the alternate, and even he would, I'm sure, welcome some input from the rest of the board members on what how we should be providing input on what is important in the EPV for the State Street project. And so I hope you think about this in the next 2 weeks. And I believe you all received the memo from Tess last week. And it is, to a degree, confusing as to where they expect to get input. I know,
And
you want me to
Mr.
stop.
Chair, and I'm actually gonna, I'm getting, this is for announcements, and so is there, I think I gotta cut off the conversation
No,
about
it's
it.
not a
And
it's
but
not a
in
conver-
knowing that it is, you all can discuss it fully on the
and
31st.
But the
So
problem,
I
the
just-
problem,
I'm-
the problem is,
I just
the
wanna,
problem is that I cannot even talk to other
Yeah.
board members.
you can
Commissioner Lendick,
consult.
okay, so a couple of things. First, we're gonna have the space in 2 weeks.
Okay.
So we're gonna be able
Right.
to talk about it and have all the discussions. I would say I think I know in general where you're going with it, and I think the big, and I forgot to mention this in the announcements portions, but along those lines, with the materials we got, and I would ask that all HLC members, so staff is not gonna have a presentation for us. So it's up to you all, if you have something that you want, that's visual, that we can't just say and describe, but that you actually want to see, like the presentation from MIG for the last presentation, or ones before, if you have ideas that you want to communicate that involve visuals, to please send those over, and maybe we can just have it all put together so we can pull it up and look at it as part of the discussion. But I strongly encourage everyone to do their homework to really understand what has been proposed and have their thoughts of key things. I'm going to be working with staff to put together an agenda so we can work through some of the key things. And I think send to staff as well any particular items that you want discussed as well, and we can work it into the full picture agenda so we can have a good conversation, and also so that we're not struggling to find words to describe the thing that we want to show. If you have a picture you want to show, please send that as well, and we can at least have a pile of files that we can look at if we need to, or at least a collected thought as well.
Right, and me sharing this today is just to assure you that it's
Yes.
on the books. So
Yeah.
I can't have a conversation because
we
it's not
we won't go any
agendized.
further. If there are additional things that you would like, Commissioner Lennick, maybe you can reach
Well,
out to me and staff, and we can.
You have
make sure.
expressed exactly what I was trying to express before I was told by the staff I could not express that. I find this interesting,
Okay.
that you're able to get away with expressing it, but I'm not able to.
Mr. Chair, well, I think everybody has the same goal, and I think that we're all hopeful that next in 2 weeks, the conversation will be able to help support you, Commissioner Limnick. And I
Well-
think that's the goal. And I think that, again, it's a fine boundary, and I was trying to understand where you might be going, and I just want to cut it off and just say, again, it's in the books. You can reach out per Ms. Harris's email. You can reach out to her at any point in time. If there are, that you can't discuss things as a group via email, because that would be a Brown Act violation, but you can share thoughts with Chair Gumbine, or, you can share thoughts with staff. And I just would like to leave it at that.
No, I understand, but I can't even ask
All
these
right.
people.
It's okay, we're going forward. Okay, we got it. We got 2 weeks, we're gonna be talking about it, and we'll have a larger discussion. Okay, all right, on to, and I know, hopefully this will be at least the beginning of the end of a lot of frustration, that I know many members have felt, so, all
And-
right.
Chair Grumman, and you are going to be developing a list that you're going to send out to all of us to help us know how to develop, to, focus our thoughts, right?
So I think the plan was to work with staff to form an agenda that covers a lot of different topics. And if there's ideas or things that people want specifically addressed as well, to bring that in. But the goal is going to be however much time we have, half hour to an hour, 45 minutes, whatever it ends up being, to make sure we cover all the aspects and give everyone a time to say what they want, their thoughts and pieces. So we just want to make sure we have it structured so that we can have a good, clear conversation with everyone weighing in and give good, clear directive. So, and I'm sorry, it has been frustrating, but I think we're right there at the end of the road, and let's just get there and have the conversation. I think it'll be good. So, and let me know if there are topics or things that you want discussed.
Agendize it for 3 hours.
No, we're not going to do that. It could be a 3-year conversation, but we're gonna limit this one, and then we'll see about if we have later ones in the future or far future. At least we can discuss that at the time. Okay, so with that, I think we need to move on, unless there's something that's incredibly important that we need to bring up as any other subcommittee reports.
Nope.
Okay. All right, we're off to item D. So now we have our giant agenda looming ahead of us of one. So, all right, item 1, this is a new item for concept review, 1724 Garden Street. This is listed on the city's historic resources inventory, constructed in 1903 in the Italian Mediterranean style. Proposal to construct a second-story rear addition to the existing 2,200 square foot two-story addition. 2,200 square foot two-story single-unit residence consisting of 89 square foot first-floor addition, a 526 square foot second-floor addition, and a 390 square foot uncovered raised patio. An existing 524 square foot detached garage and a 272 square foot cabana will remain and are not under discretionary purview. Project requires staff hearing officer review and approval of a solar access modification and interior setback modification. The proposal total of 3,600 square feet of development on a 15,000 square foot parcel is 84% of the maximum guideline for the FAR, and no final appealable action will take place at this meeting. Project compatibility findings and minor alterations findings will be required for project design approval. All right, welcome.
Chair Grumbine, apologies for the interruption. I just have a few brief staff comments
Oh,
as I'm
yes,
the
please.
assigned case planner on this. So again, Holly Garson with the City of Santa Barbara. This project has been deemed complete and is here today before the HLC to hopefully receive some positive comments to take on to the staff hearing officer, which is tentatively scheduled for next Wednesday. And I'd ask that the HLC consider accepting the memo provided by the city's architectural historian, Ms. Nicole Hernandez, that evaluated the proposed project. So please keep this in mind when you're motioning for comments later. And additionally, please consider and provide comments in the motion regarding the aesthetic appropriateness of the requested interior setback modification for the second-story rear addition, as well as the aesthetic appropriateness for the solar access modification. These don't come up too often. The solar access mod would allow a greater height measurement to be used in the solar access height limitation calculation, which is required when a project has a true north lot line, which applies to this parcel. And it's worth mentioning that staff is supportive of these modifications moving forward to the staff hearing officer So you'll hear more about these in the applicant presentation, and I can answer any specific zoning questions regarding those if necessary. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, welcome. If you can introduce yourselves for the record.
I'm Tom Henson from Becker Henson Nixo Architects, and this is Morgan Solorio.
Okay, welcome. All right, so why don't you'll have 15 minutes if you need, but to walk us through the project and.
I think the best place to show you, well, generally, the house was built in 1903. It's on the city's historic resources inventory. We worked with Nicole to get the owners what they wanted. Built in 1903, the kitchen was small and cut off and for servants, and there's really no primary bedroom. There's 2 bedrooms upstairs now and one little like trunk room in a corner, and the owners said we want a nice primary bedroom and a bedroom for each of their 2 daughters. So upstairs, we're proposing to add a little more, and downstairs, we're just adding a little bit on the back, like extending out 3 feet so we can fit a kitchen, breakfast room, and family room where the family will be. So the left or the northeast side of the house now encroaches 6 inches into the side yard setback, which probably wasn't around in 1903. But since we're proposing to extend the second floor straight north to align with the first floor, that means the new segment of wall will also encroach 6 inches into the setback. So that's one of the modifications we're asking for. We think it would look funny to set it in 6 inches. The whole rest of the house, the walls just go straight up. And then solar access wise, the first floor is tall. It's 10 feet high, and then the corner, the back of the house is all about 3 feet out of the ground. So in order to have a plate height higher than about 4 feet in the back, we have to ask for a modification for an increase in the solar access height. We are in that envelope between, there's a limit to how high you can go, and we're underneath the limit to how high you can go for modification. We're in that zone where we need a modification, but we're not higher than a modification would allow. So you can, where the cursor's pointing and that blue line is the proposed new roof. The roof you see behind that's higher is the existing house. And the addition all stays underneath the current height restrictions for the zone. And we're underneath the limit for the solar access height with a modification. I don't know if you've seen it, but the neighbors to the north wrote a letter in support of the project. They say it doesn't really affect they're not concerned about the extra shadow that it'll create. Maybe back to the floor plans. We're not doing anything on the front. We're doing a little bit on the east or the left and the right sides, and on the back of the house is pretty different. So you can see on the left, upper left is existing front, and lower left is proposed front elevation. What you see pushing out on the upper right-hand side is back about 30 feet from the front of the house. On the right side, you see existing on the upper right and proposed on the lower right. The house is not on Crocker Row, but it's just down the street from Crocker Row, and it has kind of a Crocker Row feel. So we're wanting to respect that. Where there's a small dormer to let light in the primary bathroom in the upper right-hand corner, well, there. That way the neighbors have privacy. That's like 6 feet above the floor. Right now there's no patio on the back, and the owners, they have a historic house in the Bay Area now, and they wanted to move down to Santa Barbara and have a historic house here. And one thing the house doesn't have is the indoor-outdoor living setup, so they wanted to create a patio in the back that would be around the same level as the first floor of the house. And so you can see the new French doors, new patio, and then the 3 arches in the primary bedroom, in the middle, and then primary bath on the upper left. So basically, the back of the house used to feel more like for servants, and now it's becoming like it's more important and trying to blend in more with the look of the rest of the house. Photographs, you can't see much from the street. A garage was added maybe in the 70s, and then there's a wall across the front. And once you go through some gates, you can see the house in the upper left. The lower right is the courtyard between the garage, which is along the street, and the house. Upper right is the front of the house looking toward, not changing, looking toward what's going to become a primary closet. That's the back of the house on the right. That is the unit, the piece on the left of the parapet we think was an addition. The floor is 3 feet higher, and we think they made it 3 feet higher so you could see more of the Riviera. You can't see much from the finished floor level, but it kind of throws everything off to have it higher like that. And we're proposing to level it off so the whole first floor is the same level. Street views, that's the neighbor. Yeah, across the street neighbors. I think that's basically it. I don't want to say more than I need to, but any questions?
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
go ahead.
All right, great. So in that case, we'll go to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. At this time, I haven't received any speaker slips, and I don't see anyone in the audience. We also do not have any virtual participants, but we did receive one letter from Grant and Anne Marie Castleberg. And with that, I'll hand it back over to you, Chair Grumbine.
All right, great, thank you. Okay, so let's go to the commission for questions. Do we have questions?
No
Any questions?
Mr. Chair?
Yes,
I have
Mr. Butler.
just a couple. Beautiful house. I actually went by before today's meeting. So first, I guess the question I have is, so much of this is further back away from the street. It's not visible. I'm assuming, and you can correct me, that as far I thought about foliage, trees, et cetera, is not going to be affected by this change because it's mostly removed to the street. The materials will be matching the
Yes.
existing? That was a question. And coloration?
Matching.
Would be matching. So the intent here is to continue to reflect the actual, what is currently in use in the house,
Yes.
correct? I'm just kind of affirming some ideas.
Yeah,
here.
that's right.
Okay. And then I think in the next presentation, next go around, that would be helpful to have a materials list and lighting and all
Definitely.
that sort of thing to.
And we're
tackle
getting landscaping lined up too.
that. Okay, great.
All right. Other questions, Commissioner Drury?
Yes, so that rather awkward block that doesn't have any rhythm to it whatsoever, I think you said it was probably, I can't remember the elevation, but it's, yeah, that's going to be subsumed into the proposal, right? That'll be, yeah, okay. Thank you.
Okay, other questions? I had one, and I think it was just a matter of understanding the layers of elevation. Can you go to the other elevation page? Yeah. So on the bottom right elevation is, oh, maybe, okay, now I might see it. The Juliet balcony at the bottom right corner.
Mm-hmm.
That is, there's not a deck right below that, right? That's.
No.
Okay,
It's up in the air and it's already
got
there.
it. Okay, got it, okay.
For what it's worth, you can see the break line where we're proposing to extend the second floor straight out, as opposed to stepping it back 6 inches.
Okay,
Okay.
great, that was it. Any other questions?
Chair Grumbine, yes.
Commissioner Ginsburg.
Thank you for this presentation. I just was, I remember when they did that wall, there, it was something else before, and then they made it how it is now. So is that, we're not, that's in front, and we're not seeing that. These are the elevations behind, right? So maybe, can you go up the set of elevations? Yeah, so this existing southwest elevation reflects the detail, I think, of what they did on the garage opening?
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're matching that? Okay,
they did their best to try to match it. It's just too bad it's there at all.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it was an improvement
that
over
was
the
part of your other
previous,
question.
but-
Can you tear down that wall?
Yeah. Well, you're
Mr.
not
Henson.
touching it. That's to remain, right? And
Yeah.
you've shown what it is that you're talking about changing, yes. Okay, thank
They
you.
kind of like the privacy, and most of the other houses have tall hedges, and they're thinking, well, the wall's there, that they're going to improve the landscaping, but generally they were hoping not to take it down.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Right?
Sure. Go by.
Yes.
Could you
Commissioner McClure.
describe the chimney treatments? They're quite, they're different, of course, from the existing.
So the existing chimneys are masonry, and they don't need a cap. And the new ones will not be masonry. That's the earthquake code and everything, that it's going to be metal flues, and metal flues have to have like a metal pyramid cap. We find that that's the least obtrusive and the most historical. We think it's better than like the Jack Arnold caps, like the Tudor-looking ones. And you see a lot of these around town. It's just a fairly flat metal pyramid with screening around the edges. And a lot of times people add those on original chimneys to keep water from getting in. And,
So the graphics reads pretty heavy, but it's not the case.
yeah, maybe we'll bring an image of, we'll
Just
set
a spark arrestor, right?
It's a spark arrestor.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it won't read that heavy.
Yeah, there's every single line in that spark arrestor. All right.
Pink.
All right, other questions? Any other questions? All right, let's go on to comments. And this is here for comments to the staff hearing officer, and obviously they want positive comments. And specifically also to let's see, what was it? The aesthetic appropriateness?
Yes,
of
the
the-
aesthetic appropriateness of the requested interior setback modification, and then regarding the solar access mod. So just in general, do you find that the project size, bulk, and scale and aesthetics are appropriate, compatible with the neighborhood, such?
Okay. All right, who wants to start
Mr.
off
Chair.
with comments? All right, Vice
Might
Chair
as well
House.
dive in. Turns out my wife's family lived in this house for about 6 years in the 80s. They did not build the wall.
Okay, good. Thank you for bringing it on the record. 'Cause-
Yeah. But what I understand, if I recall correctly, is that raised floor area, the owner of the house and the family like to give little performances and stuff, so it was kind of like a stage, so that's what I heard.
It wasn't for the view.
I didn't hear that, so who knows? Anyway, I think it's very beautifully done. I think it really enhances the house and is, well integrated, and I support the proposed modifications. I think they're aesthetically appropriate and appropriate in terms of size, mass, bulk, and scale, and if the neighbor has no problem with it, then why should I? So,
Okay. Commissioner
I'll
Duray?
just chime in and say I agree with Commissioner House. It's a lovely house, lovely project.
Commissioner Ansberg? Or sorry, Commissioner Lenvick.
Yeah, I agree with Mr. House as well, and I think that the requested side yard setback modification, if that's what it was, is eminently reasonable. And I think that the shadow casting is not significant, in particular because of the adjoining neighbors, thinking it is okay with them. I'm supportive of it.
Okay. Commissioner Ansberg?
Yes, thank you so much for the work and for the beautiful presentation. I agree with everything everyone else has already said. I think it's, I think it's very sensitive and really beautifully, a beautiful solution to a house to bring it into a modern era and to make it work even better, with given that it had the lacking indoor-outdoor patio that you mentioned. So I think that was, very well done. And I also like that it's more livable, taking these older properties and historic properties and dealing with them in a very sensitive way that makes them work better. And then also, I appreciate that, all the work is really, as we like to see, in the rear, so that the house is really going to look virtually the same, improved.
Like a big wall.
Well, once you get beyond the wall. So I think I fully support it and appreciate the work, and thank you.
Mr.
Commissioner
Chair,
Jordan?
I want to echo the comments of my fellow commissioners and also to commend you for the presentation or the drawings that were in the packet, in particular the shadow drawings. It was very clear and it helped me resolve any concerns I had about that. The other comment that I'll make is that one of the things that we're concerned about is that additions and changes don't diminish the quality of the historic. And in this case, when I look at something like that southeast elevation, it actually enhances the quality of it. So again, I'm very supportive.
All right. Commissioner Butler?
The last comment of my colleague here was exactly my thought, too. I mean, I'd say it looks better, okay? It adds to it, and I think kind of restores it to the original intent of the design, so you're to be complimented for that.
All right. Commissioner Butler, what do you think of the landscape? We haven't seen it. Yeah, no, sorry, I was just kidding. All right, and I think everyone's commented. I'll throw my comments in, but I actually realized I had one question when I was looking at this. The proposed southeast elevation, so that little pop out in the bottom of 1 story, what material is that on the sides, those pilasters or piers, whatever you have in the corners?
Those
Are they wood or plaster?
They're plaster.
Okay.
Like plaster columns.
Okay, gotcha.
The rest of the house has plaster, well, there's plaster columns in the. Like the 3 arches at the front. So we
Yeah.
want to strike the right balance of having them not look too skinny. They might be too skinny still.
Yeah, that's what I was
I
gonna
think they're too skinny.
ask you if you thought they
Yeah.
were too skinny.
We'll look at that.
Yeah, okay. So that would be, the only comment in addition to my colleagues' comments would be just to study the thickness of the corner of the southeast elevation. Study the thickness of plaster columns. Thickness, plaster columns for the southeast, single-story element. Okay, so it sounds like I'm hearing everyone's very supportive of the aesthetic appropriateness of the for having for encroaching 6 inches on the setback. That's aesthetically appropriate to do so and acceptable as a design, and then also that the solar access modification is supportable as well. And I guess would it be as well to thank you for working with the neighbor, because they obviously are in supportive of it. And then the other comments were that thank the applicant for the beautiful design. It's done extremely well, and it actually enhances a great deal the historic resource. And it's sensitively done, the addition is sensitive, adding towards the back. As well, another note was that we especially appreciated the drawings, the shadow drawings, showing how the shadows would be cast, and it was reassuring that there would not be an issue with the solar because of that study. And then one other note was to study the thickness of the columns at the southeast elevation with a single-story element. And that in general, as well, the mass, bulk, and scale of the project is acceptable, and the design of the design direction it's going is extremely supportable, and we look forward to seeing the additional details as well as material bores and a landscape plan. Okay. All right. So is that a pretty good summary? Any other?
Chair Grumbine, if I may, I believe we're supposed to get supportability or acceptability regarding Nicole Hernandez's report. Or if you're able to provide comments now, that would be helpful.
Okay. And so then also general support for the memo, or the memo is supportable by the commission.
Now, I'll make a motion for indefinite continuance with those comments.
Second.
All right, got a motion by Vice Chair House, second by Commissioner Ensberg. Under discussion, any other discussion? All right. Can I have a roll call vote, please?
Thank you, Chair Grumbine. I'll take roll call vote. Commissioner Butler,
Yes?
Commissioner Lindvik,
Yes.
Commissioner McClure,
Yes.
Commissioner Dordan,
Yes.
Commissioner Drury,
Yes.
Commissioner Ensberg,
Yes.
Vice Chair House,
Yes.
Chair Grumbine.
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much. Great job. All right. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and with that, officially 2:12 PM, we are going to adjourn. Oh, wait, sorry. I have to officially announce. Okay, so item 2 is project design approval for 400 West Carrillo Street. But the note is that item 2 has been postponed to the January 31st, 2024 HLC Full Commission agenda at the applicant's request. All right, and now, at 2:13, we can adjourn.